Life is full of hard decisions, and I can't say if I had to choose an avatar to play that I wouldn't choose Karen Gillan over Dwayne Johnson. But definitely not picking Jack Black. I lived most of my life as a hairy, fat, white guy. This week we were talking about Jumanji: The Next Level on the Everyman Movie Review. So for the second consecutive episode, I know I'm getting super annoying, but I want to say a big thank you to my supporters on Patreon and to my friends and family who have made an improvement in my recording process so easy, especially to my parents and to my sister, Sarah, and to my girlfriend, Roxy, who have helped provide me with way better equipment. You guys are the best, and I could not do this without all of your support, including your moral support, so thank you. This week we were talking about Jumanji: The Next Level. It's not just Jumanji 2 Electric Boogaloo. There's a lot more to it than that, and I'm super excited to get into it. But first, let's get the pleasantries out of the way, shall we? Jumanji was directed by Jake Kasdan. It was written by Jake Kasdan, Jeff Pinkner, and Scott Rosenberg. And of course, it's based on the book Jumanji by Chris Van Allsburg. The whole crew is back. All of your favorite stars. Karen Gillan back as Ruby Roundhouse. Dwayne Johnson back as Dr. Smolder Bravestone. Jack Black back as Professor Sheldon Oberon. Kevin Hart as Franklin Mouse Finbar, along with some new faces. Awkwafina as Ming Fleetfoot. Fantastic performance by Awkwafina. I'm getting super excited to see her name and stuff. I just want to rush out and see anything she's involved with. Even apparently Jumanji: The Next Level. Also joining the cast, Danny DeVito and Danny Glover as the grandparent and friend of one of the kids. And of course, the kids are all back. Morgan Turner as Martha, Alex Wolff as Spencer, Madison Isman as Bethany, and Sodarius Blaine as Fridge. Now, I'll say offhand, I wouldn't necessarily have gone to see Jumanji 2, The Next Level, right when it came out into theaters, but it is something I had on my agenda. I kind of wanted to see. I love the buddy comedy bit of Kevin Hart and The Rock. And, Jumanji 1 was good. It was a different take on an old movie. They all exist kind of in the same universe. It accepts that the first movie was there, and then they made this new one, and now there's another new one. So I like that bit of the universe still works. Roxy really wanted to go see it. We were looking for a movie that was playing on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, one or the other, and Jumanji was like 5 of the screens at the local Cineplex back in Maryland while I was at home for vacation. So we got our tickets, and we went down to check out Jumanji: The Next Level, and I will say I went into it not feeling particularly excited. I was imagining, as I said kind of at the beginning here, Jumanji 2 Electric Boogaloo. More of the same. And it turns out that I think Spencer, the main character, one of the main characters of the movie, was expecting the same thing too. The plot kind of revolves around the fact that all 4 of the kids that we saw in the last movie have gone off to college. I do believe that was kind of where they were focused was, right? They were senior year and they were cleaning out the basement and they found the game and then they touched it and got sucked in. But it was their senior year and they were about to go off to college. So, these relationships started to form in the game. And then, game happens. And when they get back out, it's like, are we going to remain the same or not? Well, this is flash forward to, I guess, Christmas break of that same year, where the kids have now gone off to college, and Spencer and Martha have not been in contact as much as she would have liked. Kind of come to find out, Spencer really felt like he wasn't the same person that she had started, a relationship with. He wasn't Dr. Smolder Bravestone, he's Spencer. And it's kind of hard to live up to that, right? When even though she may look like Karen Gillan, he is very much different from Dwayne Johnson. So Spencer goes in and says, you know what? I'm going to go get a little bit of that feeling. I want to get some of that Smolder Bravestone feeling back. So he finds the game that they had thrown away, fixes it, and ends up getting trapped inside. And of course, everyone else must then go in to help him out. Danny DeVito shows up as Spencer's grandfather, Danny Glover as his friend Milo, and they're only around because Spencer's gone missing and the friends come to his house to find him. And of course, they find the Jumanji game in the basement. And hilarity ensues. Now, this is one of the things I love is the buddy cop aspect of Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson. And that certainly continues in this movie. Jack Black's physical comedy and the way that he basically is talking about himself, because of course he's being a house for someone else, I think is always super funny. Karen Gillan I am loving her more and more every time I see her. We saw her for the first time in Doctor Who. She then took a role in the Marvel Universe, which I think she's done amazing with, specifically the Guardians of the Galaxy films. And now this is like her return to another really great character. And I think she has so much potential. I really hope that they get her away from the like beauty, athletic roles, because I do think she has more to offer. The emotionality that she kind of showed in this was really great. And I wish that they would allow her to exercise that just a bit more. But the same rules apply as first time. When you go into the game, you get 3 lives. Every time you die, you lose a life, lose a life, lose a life. If you die in the game, you die in real life. They first have to go find Spencer, and then they have to figure out how they can escape the game. And if you remember from episode 1, the way that you escape is by beating the level. That's the only way out of the game. That's why Alan Parsons, Robin Williams from the first movie, got trapped in so long, because he couldn't pass the level, he couldn't beat the game. It's why Alex, played by Colin Hanks, got trapped in the last movie, because he also couldn't get through the level by himself. And so much the same way, Spencer is trapped in the game by himself, and he cannot leave until they beat that level. Although, of course, we only learn its levels in this one, and not just one game, because Spencer goes in thinking he's going to replay the same thing that he played before, and it would not be easy. I already know all the keys and all the tricks. But it turns out there's another level, and now he has to move on to that one, as our main characters, the rest of our characters, learn when they enter the game after him. So it's really hard to talk about this movie without spoilers, because so much of it is about what happens in the game. So I do want to take a few minutes to talk about spoilers. So if you don't want to hear the spoilers, if you're planning to go see Jumanji, go ahead and skip on down. In the show notes, you'll see 2 times noted. The first one will be spoilers at, second one will be back to the show. Go to the back to the show numbers, because the spoilers are about to start right now. So the thing I love about the movie, and what I don't want to ruin for people who don't want spoilers, is, again, it wasn't Jumanji 2 Electric Boogaloo. They found a different way to get into this story. And by having both Milo and Eddie get sucked into the game rather than Bethany, and kind of leave her on the outside to be the reinforcements, I think it really took an interesting angle. I was thinking like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, they all got sucked in, Bethany got left out, but that's still too many characters, because we know Spencer's already in the game, right? And then I started thinking, well, maybe he becomes Alex, because that was the first player, but confused. And it was obviously that question was answered very quickly. That when people got sucked in, they didn't get to their characters that they had the first time, because the controller wasn't working. They didn't even get to choose their characters. They just got sucked in. And I found it really interesting that they went that direction, that everyone got to trade up and play someone different inside them. Not Martha, of course, but to have the amazing acting of Dwayne. And who would have thought 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have said the amazing actor of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But he did a fantastic job. Danny DeVito, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black, all just with the ability to change as they are embodied by a different person. They basically change everything about who they are. And that was just insane. I really enjoyed it. I will say one thing in particular, when they find the tree with the fruit, and they drop in the water, and then they're able to change characters, I'm like trying not to scream at the screen, like, go get everyone, get in there, and that way you can become the person you're supposed to be. But obviously that was answered later on when they found the source of those waters out in the desert. It seemed like a little convenient, and maybe they could have just done it earlier in the movie, but I guess they wanted a little more time of that awkwardness in bodies that they weren't used to. The fruit thing, though, I mean, listen, I don't have much complaints about this. You go in, you get exactly what you're expecting. But the fruit, how I get his weaknesses, the fruit, and The Rock has a new weakness, that's Switchblade, although I don't really think we saw that come to fruition much at all. I say The Rock, but of course I mean Dr. Smolder very soon. Has the weakness of Switchblade, even though he had no weaknesses before. Mouse with fridge in him. So has the fear of cake, even though they have additional stuff. The moment where, Shelley Osbourne hits his chest and he sees that all of his weaknesses have basically modified to don't be in the desert, and they're in the middle of the desert. It's one of those things that there is like these subtle messages mixed in, and one of them I think is the message that everyone has a purpose. And I hate getting hit over the head with that kind of stuff. Like, oh, here's a nice morality message, but that was so super subtle that Mouse in the body of Shelley Osbourne comes to the realization that every character has a purpose, and all of them have a power, even if it's not kind of on the surface. One of those moments where I'm like, oh, you got me. You got me and I didn't see it coming. You sneaky. I really enjoyed when that kind of came to fruition. And, I've said before that all that you can really ask for is like smiling and like enjoying the movie. And no matter the twists and turns, it was kind of obvious that there was going to be follow the flame. I would not have gotten that clue, by the way, that the X was the flame and we're supposed to follow them. I did like a little bit more of the non-player characters. Rhys Darby, of course, plays like your guide, but then there's more non-player characters involved in this one. There was more people who like, I only have a certain set of things I can answer, and no matter what you ask, I'm going to give the same answer. Eddie, in the body of Dr. Smolder Bravestone, basically feeding the X the same responses so that he could keep making out with her. And I mean, I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but The Rock just basically like, my hip feels really good. Oh yeah, my knee, everything feels good. Like, it was so great. And the way that he could switch up from having Eddie inside him to having Spencer inside him later was fantastic. And I don't think that you can ask for more from a comedic performance than what we got in this. And I'll be honest in saying, when I walked out of Jumanji, I said to myself, you know what? Give me Jumanji 3, 4, 5. I'm going to all of them. They did such a good job finding a new twist on this story. I want to go see it. But I think the biggest surprise was Bethany on the outside as reinforcements. She realizes she's not in the game. She tries to figure out, what can I do to help out here? And there was a little bit of like movie world where she knows it's going poorly, even though she's not inside and can't really see it. And that's why she goes for Colin Hanks' Alex to get reinforcements. There was a weird moment with those two. So I get that in the game the last time, Bethany as Shelley Osbourne, right? I think she was Shelley Osbourne. And Alex as Seaplane McDonough. They had like a little bit of a romance, and I kind of had to go back and explain the ending of the first Jumanji remake with Roxy about how like, he woke up in 96 and lived a whole life. So when they came out of it in 2016, he had lived this whole life. There was a little bit of weirdness with that. The fact that he named his daughter Bethany, also super awkward. But when he opens the door, or when his daughter opens the door and explains like, yeah, my name's Bethany too, blah. And then Colin Hanks as Alex comes to the door, it's a little bit of like, what's the deal here? What's going on here? Because I felt a little weird about the fact that, I guess she's in high school, so maybe it isn't so weird. I mean, she's an adult, right? So it's not that bad. But he's married and he has a daughter and the whole thing. I just didn't like the looks. I said later, it reminded me a lot of that Folgers Coming Home commercial. Not the first one from the 80s, but the updated one from the 90s, where like the sister and brother are giving each other like long, weird gazes, and you're like, what's going on here? Kind of the feeling I got from Alex and Bethany's exchange there. But in movie world, she knew something was going wrong. She went and got Alex and brought him back. And he came in as reinforcements, having 3 new lives. Isn't that fun? The way that everybody did. Then the whole team goes and saves. One of the things I didn't like about the first one was that, The Rock didn't have any weaknesses or whatever, that he was just basically like a tank that couldn't be beat. To find, 1, that Switchblade was a weakness of his, and 2, that there was a non-player character, the boss here, who was just as tough as him, actually tougher really, was super interesting. And then he got outsmarted by Spencer as Dr. Bravestone, I think was great. Just didn't like the, you smash the fruit on his chest and somehow that does something. I don't know. Like, he should have tricked him to eat it, or I really thought that they were going to all separate the fruit because it said, you're going to need this at an important time and eat it. And that's how they were going to transfer bodies to the right one. But in any event, I wasn't a huge fan of that, how it wrapped up. It felt a little bit like, we know where we're going. We got this. And then they got to that scene. They're like, oh, well, how are we going to get him? How's it going to be his weakness? Smash it on him. That's all we need. Just smash it on him. He's exposed to it. Now he's weak again. It was a little weak writing, if you ask me. Nonetheless, I enjoyed most things about the movie, and especially Alex's reappearance later on, and the fact that they got the team together. And oh my gosh, I haven't cried at a movie since A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Like, let's just be honest, it wasn't that long ago. But it was Fred Rogers. What do you want from me? But I almost cried at that end moment when Milo, as the stallion, says, I'm staying. And I'm like, I could see that coming a mile away. I thought both Eddie and Milo were going to stay because, Eddie complained so much about being old, and wouldn't it be nice to be this young character, the young spry thief, and they could stay there forever. So it was a little surprising that they both didn't stay. Milo then running and jumping off, and I'll just stay in the game forever. That was it was a really good moment, and it was cheesy in all the best ways. And I think that in a way typifies what Jumanji The Next Level is. It's cheesy in the most perfect way. But that's enough of the spoilers. Let's grab everybody, bring them all back in, and we can talk about the movie and wrap it up, shall we? So everybody's coming back in and joining us. right now. So I continue to say the Everyman Movie reviews are different. It's not about the film itself. It's just about whether you enjoy yourself. And I cannot say with any high regard that I enjoyed myself watching Jumanji: The Next Level. Everything about it. I mean, I talked about some stuff in the opening, but the buddy cop relationship, the way that the story develops, the way that they find new ways to surprise us with what seems like an old franchise, and just the acting. I find it interesting that The Rock is not being The Rock. Dwayne Johnson is not being The Rock. Kevin Hart is not being Kevin Hart. Jack Black is not being Jack Black. They develop these characters that are these things, and then they basically get embodied by yet another third character. And I just find it super interesting. I think they did such a fantastic job just with the way that they allow those characters to embody and how you can tell that it's somebody else. The changes that are made, they do such a great job of. And you don't really think of like Jumanji and those kind of movies as great acting movies, but there was some fantastic acting done in this movie. And I said when I walked out of the movie, you know what? Give me Jumanji 3, 4, 5. I'm going to all of them. They've shown me that they can continue to surprise me. They've shown me that the actors are a class above. And clearly, this is the movie that those guys want to do together. They go do other stuff. Then they come back and they do this because it's fun, because they get to go on these adventures all around the world when they're shooting it, and because they enjoy the company of the actors around them. And you can see that on the screen. And you can't really ask for more than that. Did I enjoy myself? 100%. So let's go through the questions we always go through. Do you like action movies? Do you like Kevin Hart? Do you like Dwayne Johnson? Do you like Jack Black? Do you like Karen Gillan? Do you like Rhys Darby? I didn't even mention him at the top, but he's in that as well. If you like those actors, you're going to find something in here that you like. If you like action movies, you're going to find something that you like. If you're thinking to yourself, Jumanji was good, but what are they going to do? Put that thought out of your head. This movie is a standalone. It could be its own movie without the first. Only we would need a little introduction to who everybody is. They did a great job of making a sequel that stands up to the original. So unless you hate The Rock or Jack Black or Kevin Hart, unless you hate, puzzle-based movies and travel journey movies, I mean, those things stay consistent from the first one. But unless those things are true, you are going to love this movie. It is fully worth the $18 plus whatever else you're going to spend to go check it out. I saw it in 3D. I don't know that it's necessary to see it in 3D. There were some really great moments, creatures flying through the air, our characters flying through the air, and they seem to come like right at the camera and jump in. Maybe that does make it worthwhile, but if you're trying to decide and you're on the border, if you don't really like 3D movies to begin with, there's nothing Star Wars-esque about it. There's nothing that's going to jump out the screen at you. But I do think that the 3D was worth it, even if it's just for those small moments where, it adds a little bit to the adventure and a little bit to that chase feeling. That is probably worth it for 3D. So unless you totally avoid 3D or you only really go to special movies, then maybe not. But otherwise, check it out in 3D. But honestly, check it out any way that you can. 2D, digital format, however you can see it. If it's available in 4D where you are, go see it in 4D. Because I imagine that it would be fantastic with the 4D experience of the smells and the wind and all the rain, all of that would make such a huge impact on this movie. Totally worthwhile. But run out before it gets out of theaters. Got a lot of good stuff coming up. They're going to start pushing things out very quickly. Run out and go see Jumanji today. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Everyman Movie Reviews in the books. I want to thank everyone for joining me, as you always do. It's amazing to see all the support that I'm getting for both the podcast and the video forms of these reviews. Right off the top, I want to say a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon. I could not do this without you. I have a bunch of new equipment. I have even more ordered and on the way, and that is due large in part to my supporters on Patreon. And whether it's just $1 a month or even more significant donations, I appreciate every single one, and I want you to know thank you for everything that you do. Also, the moral support. I get a lot of moral support and messages from people on Patreon, and I really couldn't continue to do everything I do without you. If you want to become one of my patrons, it's super easy. Go on over to patreon.com, that's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, and you can support all of the stuff that I'm doing. The Everyman Movie Reviews, the Rob Explains Everything videos, and I got a whole bunch of other stuff coming very shortly, so you're not going to want to miss any of that. And if you want to be a part of it, the books, the videos, the screenplays, everything, go on over to patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek and become a supporter. You can, of course, now find Everyman Movie Reviews on social media. We have a Facebook page and a Twitter and an Instagram. Find us on Instagram at Everyman Movie Reviews. Find us on Twitter at Everyman Movie and on Facebook at Everyman Movie Reviews. You can find me and my personal accounts at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. That's going to be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere at Robert N. Cheek. You can find these videos and more on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rob Cheek. If you can't get enough of me, well, I do a weekly podcast with my buddy Corey. You can find that at odanthem.com. And of course, you can find it in podcast form on any of your favorite podcatchers, but most importantly at anchor.fm/odanthem. You can also find it at youtube.com/odanthem for the video. And we record every episode live weekly, sometime between Saturday and Monday. If you follow us on social media at odanthem everywhere, you'll get a notification. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, all together at the same time. So come in and join us for the live recording and then check out the episode on Tuesday. New episodes of this show are every Thursday and then one in between. Usually it's going to be Sunday, but I can't promise anything, especially recently. So make sure you are checking it out. You can find it anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews. That's where you can find the podcast version of it. And if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you check out anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews /message, where you can send me a message and let me know what you think. If you're watching on YouTube, that's youtube.com/Rob Cheek. It's the Everyman Movie Reviews playlist. Again, new episodes on both will be available on Thursdays. I didn't get to all the Christmas movies that I wanted to for the 12 days of Christmas, but I saw the movies. I'm going to do the reviews. So now you guys are getting a little bit of Christmas in January as I wrap up those reviews and put those out for you. So keep an eye out for those bonus episodes as well. Thank you, as always, for all your support, for checking out the video. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com where you can find all of this and more. New episodes of Rob Explains Everything coming soon. New short videos coming soon. A vlog for my trip home coming soon. All of that. Keep an eye out on YouTube and on all over social media. So thank you for joining me. And as always, until next time, have a great week, everybody.